detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
Saddling up time. But afterwards, there occurred violent earthquakes and floods, and in a single day and night of misfortune, all your warlike men as a body sank into the earth. And the island of Atlantis, in like manner, disappeared into the depths of the sea. Plato on Atlantis. The evening was progressing, but the sun had not set yet. He grasped the mane of the horse with his strong hand and mounted it quickly. This jerk helped to saddle the wild animal and speed up time. The world had changed. The stagnant world of walking people epoch was exploded by horse breeders. Approximately 6,000 years passed, and scientists from Denmark, France, Great Britain, Canada and Kazakhstan excavated a burial in Botai settlement in North Kazakhstan. Who had been these mysterious people? Who domesticated wild horses? Where had they come from? That period, known as destruction of Atlantis, played an important part. Due to that, the population left those subtropical regions, and as a result, people found themselves in the steppe area. There was a global flood, destruction of Atlantis and mysterious Botai people. It's a secret of dark millennia, when time started galloping. Horses were domesticated in the Eurasian steppes. There are many arguments about who domesticated horses. They came into the Kazakh steppes riding bulls. Chapter 1. The Steppe Atlantis. Archaeologist Victor Jibek drives a car almost without looking at the road. He knows where every turn is here, and he used to talk to journalists. The most important thing here is we almost managed to restore Botai landscape. When we had come here, there was just a desert. The car shakes and shudders, and you can see almost Botai scenery through the window. It's a place of pilgrimage for scientists and journalists. They came here for the first time in the 1980s. Since then, that path leading to the local artifacts has remained well trodden. This stone arrowhead is a unique find. Dmitry Sychov signed it carefully and put it into the treasury of the world history. It was the late Neolithic or New Stone Age. A dog guarding people's home was barking, sheep and goats were grazing on pastures. Local people knew how to domesticate animals. However, the picture should be changed. There were waves of the Mediterranean Sea against the sunset. Of course, Genoa couldn't have been there in that period, and the waves weren't so peaceful. The Mediterranean waters entered the Black Sea, which was a closed water basin about 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. This happened as a result of the disaster known as the global flood. The waters breached and formed the Bosphorus. The Black Sea, which was a freshwater lake, became a sea. Seda Okay, oceanographer, Marine Science Institute, Turkey. According to archaeologists, these areas were densely populated. About 200,000 people lived there, and the distance between villages was approximately 4 kilometers. These people were arable farmers who demonstrated great knowledge. The people who ran from flood to flood brought new and more developed culture. Those who survived had to move to other places. A part of them went to Eurasian steppes. Legends of various peoples have information about that disaster. Petroglyphs depicted the signs of it too. In the area from Sweden to the Pacific Ocean, there are very many pictures of boats. They date from the Neolithic period. Telling the truth, there are at least 10 hypotheses explaining how the Atlanteans appeared in the steppe. Some people say they were ancestors of the Indian Aryan people. Probably they lived in Anatolia, present-day Turkey, the Armenian Valley, the Caucasus, the Middle East, Asia Minor, Caspian lowlands, and the Danube Valley. The Butai finds only make it more mysterious. They were of different races. One skeleton was a Mediterranean race, the second was equatorial race, and the third Mongoloid, and the fourth was Caucasoid or Proto-Caucasoid.
Один был монголоидной расы, и один был европеоидный, протоевропеоидный.
There's an idea about the Eurasian people in the Neolithic. Incidentally, according to one of the versions, the Butai people had the Proto-Indo-European origin. Probably the Eurasian steppe expanses were the homeland of the Indo-Aryan peoples. There is another assumption according to which the mysterious Atlantis came to the steppe using some kind of vehicles known to them. The majority of scientists think that a cart moved in front of the domesticated horse. Saying this, they mean that the carts pulled by bulls appeared first.
The
bones of bulls or so-called oxen were found in Butai. These bulls had been harnessed. I think that a wave of population having the values of sedentary and agricultural civilizations entered the steppe in the 4th and late 5th millennia BC.
Проникает волна населения, связанных с ценностями оседло-земледельческих цивилизаций.
Chapter 2: The Herdsman of Time. It is considered that it took the settlers only about 200 years to explore the Eurasian continent. Probably they covered 5.5 kilometers per year to settle in this area. Let's say 6 generations covered the distance from the Danube to the Ishim rivers. This gelding's name is Byron because it was born on the same day as Lord Byron. It's herdsman's job passed down from generation to generation. Yes, that's right. The first generation of herdsmen in the world appeared a few thousand kilometers from here, approximately 6,000 years ago, and the first horse was domesticated in the area of present-day Kazakhstan. What regions were suitable for that? Of course, steppe regions were. Neither forest nor deserts were suitable. The steppe was a good place for domestication of these animals. From the Pacific Ocean to the Danube River, there is a steppe belt, which is wider or narrower in some regions. People living there from ancient times were nomads.
И здесь люди издревле вели единый общий кочевой образ жизни.
The arable farmers who suffered from the flood came to the steppe and shared their knowledge with the tribes living there. According to some data, the nomadic hunters and herb gatherers were at the level of the Middle Stone Age or Mesolithic in respect of technology. In our settlements, people used bows and arrows. Of course, the bows and arrows had appeared much earlier. In Mesolithic, they could have been near other monuments. However, they were typical of the Neolithic. It is interesting that the Butai is considered to belong to a more progressive epoch, which is the Neolithic or Chaleolithic. The Butai culture developed quickly and horse domestication speeded up at that time. First, they were only the source of meat. Probably in the beginning, these animals were kept in enclosures like live canned food. Later, they started milking them and then saddled them too. We found 3 independent lines of evidence for early horse domestication in Butai. The traces of fats from horse milk were found on pottery. Wild horses' leg bones are shorter and larger, while domesticated horses have thinner and smaller legs. Some ancient horses' teeth were worn. Alan Ortram, Professor, University of Essex, the United Kingdom. If you look at the horse's teeth, you can discover the main proof, which are the traces of a harness. They appear if a horse has been harnessed for a few years. Domestication of cattle refers to all the animals, while horses' domestication refers to selected ones. For example, approximately 10% of all the bones examined by paleozoologists show that the horse was saddled while the others were wild.
Палеозоологами, примерно 10% Костей говорят о том, что она была под седлом. А остальные были в диком состоянии.
I don't think that horses were domesticated only in one place. The signs of early domestication are found in Ushtut and even in Mangushlak. However, Botai is a significant settlement because it gave the name to Botai culture. There are over 90% of horse bones among all the bones found there. Why were there a lot of horses' bones found there? Because they had been used to construct dwellings.
Они использовались в хозяйстве, для жилища, для строительства жилища.
Parts of the horse harnesses were found and they were lipids on pieces of pottery. When they were examined, it was proved that our ancestors had made healthy drink kumis.
Доказано действительно, что уже в это время наши предки изготавливали целебный напиток кумыс.
There was an ancient horse milk stone house in this place. There were two entrances. Steps were here and they went down these steps. They kept jugs with kumis here. You said that the hearth had been in the middle. What had they used it for? They used it to keep their horse warm and then heat the kumis because dairy products fermented quicker when they were warm.
Потому что молочные продукты лучше бродят, если они теплые.
The area was divided into the place where they lived, the place where they produced milk, and a bit further the barnyard was behind it.
А вот там вот
There was an entrance in the so-called fence.
так называемую ограду.
There were about 70 animals in the enclosure. A large Botai family could have all these animals.
У них были
They had scalpels, which they used to geld horses. Then some items they used to hobble horses were found too. They did these in order to make the horses less aggressive, then saddled them up and rode them. While riding, they could control herds of wild horses.
И уже сидя верхом на лошади, они могли контролировать дикие табуны лошадей.
Incidentally, the Botai people started using a special stick with a loop. It's called kuruk in Kazakh, and is still used. There is an assumption that the whole world put on trousers thanks to the Botai people because they were the most comfortable clothes for horsemen. Chapter 3. The Gait of Epoch. Actually, one of the bravest men mounted the horse and realized that when on a horse, time and space seem different. It's not clear what the people of the slow epoch believed and what they worshipped. However, it's obvious that the ability to move quickly divided the ancient binary world of the earth and sky into three parts. There was a binary worldview. The Botai people lived with some part of the population that had arrived, and Botai processes such as animal domestication and horse breeding had started. Thus, the transition to the threefold world started. They mounted a horse, and as a result, the middle world appeared. It was the world of the present, and everything was different in that world. People wouldn't have been able to cover these huge distances and settled in these areas if they hadn't had horses. Horses were the fastest means of transport for more than 5,000 years. Can you imagine that 150 years ago, this was still true? There's another important point. According to ancient texts, when people domesticated horses, they stopped eating their own kind. People began working after they domesticated horses. After that, people started to combat cannibalism. Of course, these changes didn't occur quickly. However, a new period was approaching, bringing new cultural values. When a person became a horseman and got used to riding horses, this created opportunities for nomadic cattle breeding. It seems a paradox that after nomadic hunters domesticated horses, they developed a settled way of life. At the same time, the transportation revolution took place. Epilogue, a history generator. Sometime later, the motion vector pointed in the opposite direction, bringing the treasures of gained knowledge. In the 3rd millennium BC, climate changed again, and the Atlanteans' descendants started a new journey. It was the first migration wave of the Botai people, who moved to the west, to Africa, Spain and Europe, all riding their horses. The steppe is like a history generator, and the petroglyphs in India, China and the Himalayas and Tibet started depicting a new image of a hunter riding a horse. The finds have been sorted and numbered. Now archaeologists, geneticists and paleozoologists now have a lot of work, and of course they'll make discoveries. Probably they'll become the key to the mystery known as Atlantis and its mysterious people. It's the riddle which hasn't been solved for millennia.